we are walking this way. Walking to town again. Because I'm bored. And I'm finding these strolls quite therapeutic in the evenings. It is now 8 o'clock, I believe. And we are going for a stroll because it's actually quite nice out here at the minute. And it's 8, so there we go. I live in front of a truck stop, so I constantly get trucks and lorries all times a day, morning, noon and night. Most of them park up over the weekend and then leave early Monday morning generally. And they do leave relatively early, some as early as 4. Sometimes it can be really noisy first thing in the morning. You should try living it. Especially with the scaffolding yard as well. That's so fucking noisy. Welcome to the stream. Remember, like, subscribe and be nice to each other. I don't miss that. Good afternoon, Katie, or good evening. Sorry, good evening. How are you this evening? Did you have a lovely day at your nan's? I went to Norwich and went to the sale as planned, even though it did continuously decide to rain. Still went on the fact that I'd already booked a ticket primarily. I got a couple of bits. All the videos are going up on YouTube this evening of all the items I got. They're going up as YouTube shorts. But if you want to skip ahead, they're actually on Instagram and YouTube or Instagram and Facebook Reels already. So if you want to skip ahead to the good bit, they're already up. So you can go watch them now. But I'd rather you watch them on YouTube. If I'm honest. It's a beautiful day. If I turn around now, you'd be blinded by the sun. Can you see the shadow? Was nice, but came home early, was in too much pain. Oh, bless ya. See, look. Sun. Way too much sun. So we're going to go this way. We've got 80% battery this evening, so that's something. So we've got plenty of battery. I think my battery lasts about 45 minutes to an hour while live streaming, so plenty of time to get home before I turn into a pumpkin. Just in case anyone's wondering. I did survive the other night, for anyone wondering. I did survive and get home when I was live streaming the other night, and it was like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night. I'm 90% sure it's going to be very soon because she's here. Who's here? What were you talking about? What did I miss? Hang on. What did I miss? It won't be long before she's here. Oh, okay. Could be. Well, you never know. Ooh. Evening, Colin. We are walking again. I need to get out of the house more on my days off. If not, I just stay indoors. But I went to Norwich today and got soaking wet, as always. So, there's that. But, yeah, we've got about 80% battery, or 78. I literally ache everywhere. Well, that's not good. Well, no one ever said pregnancy was easy. No one ever told you that, right? I certainly didn't. Well, hopefully she comes soon. I mean, I would say sooner the better, for your sake. The doctors would like to keep her in. I mean, so it's kind of 50-50, you know. You want the baby out, but you also want her safe. So, I mean, which is it? One or the other. Question is, where do we walk today? Do we walk back to the graveyard and sit in the daylight? See if we can see some bunnies in the daylight. Marcus just dragged the pram. Marcus, what? Marcus just dropped the pram off, and yeah, I'm fed up with this pain. Oh, bless you. When did he drop it off? Did he drop it off when he went to the pub at 6? So he was going to the pub with the mates from work. That was about 6 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah, he was heading to the pub with, I believe Jake and some other people were going. I don't know. I'm sure he said something about going to the pub. So, graveyard, or where do you want to walk this evening? I kind of like sitting in the graveyard. And then, well, the night is young. Go to the duck pond. Duckies. Well, let's go to the graveyard first, because I'm like halfway there. And then we can go to the duckies on the way back to my house. We can do like a loop. We can go to the graveyard and then circle to the ducks. Across the road, because there is barely anybody around. Barely anybody. Swatham's really good on a Saturday, on a Sunday, because it's kind of dead. Last night, it was kind of busy. Kind of not. Just walk towards the pub. Who's going to the pub on a Sunday? Oh, people from Marcus's work. Him and a few others apparently gone to the pub, so you know. Well, I don't know who's going to the pub on a Sunday. Somebody is, okay? I'm looking good today. I've got a new t-shirt on today that I bought. Look, you probably can't see it, but it's a really cool Angry Wolf t-shirt. I got it from the sale. It's a pretty good sale. I did get a couple of bits. I didn't get a huge amount. It's £15 a kilo, so it's not effectively cheap. But I did get a few bits. And I'm probably going to go back again at the end of the year. I think they come around again in the run up to Christmas. And I've been looking at other fairs I want to go to. There's a few. I've just got to hope I'm not working. Because this coming weekend, it's the, oh, Jesus Christ, what is it? This weekend, as in the weekend coming up, there's an antiques fair and there's a garden event, and that's at the showground. Then the weekend after, I think it's the All About Dogs event, and then there's also a camper van / motorhome event that I'd like to go to if I was off work and Katie hadn't given birth, because I think that's in August. And then in, obviously, November, there's a Christmas fair that you wanted to go to, so I wouldn't mind going to the camper van and motorhome one and just filming all the camper vans. That'd be quite cool. I think the ticket was a tenner. And then this weekend up is the antiques fair and the garden fair, which if you pay £10 you get to go to both. So there's that. But I'd love to go to the camper one. I'd love to film all the new camper vans and all the old Volkswagen Beetles and the new style of camping, like glamping and all that. That really interests me, so I might go to that. I got to see which weekends I've got off, you know, because busy woman can definitely tell she's breech, can feel her kicking my bladder. Ooh, nice. What I'm hoping for is walking around during the day, we will see, hopefully, see, flopsies in the daylight. Gonna have to be really quiet though. So we're gonna see the flopsies running around the graves. It's really hard to catch them because I don't know about you, but tiny bunnies are like fucking whippets. They're a relative to the greyhound. I'm telling you, greyhound whippets. You see them? See the bunnies right here? There's a bunny right there. See the bunnies? See them? Bunnies? It's really hard to get them because you have to be so quiet. And then you've got baby ducks down there. Baby ducks. So it's a bit hard because if you go too near the bunnies, the ducks start quacking and vice versa. So walk this way. But they are so skittish. I don't know if you see them. See? Bunny. Another bunny. Lots of bunnies. There you go. Lots of flopsies. Look at them all. Look at that, look. I can't zoom too far. But tons of flopsies. Look at them, look. And this is what they're like at night. It's just that you can't see them very well, look. You can see them much better during the day than you obviously can at night. So tons of flopsies. And then you get Mama Duck with her babies as well. Let's not forget the flopsy bunnies and the Mama Ducks. Mama works hard too, don't you, Mama? So you go. Here's the baby ducks. Go, look. It's a Mama Duck. Mama Duck. And the little babies. The ducks are quackers. Thank you, Colin. If you could share this out, that would be good. Give it a big thumbs up. If you want to support the channel, consider donating for these streams I'm doing at night. I need to zoom out a bit. There we go. So we're going to walk this way this time, because we didn't walk this way this time because last time it was too dark. And I was honestly too afraid to fall over a gravestone. Just like, but you never know, you might even see a squirrel. And there are some peacocks that live around here too, which are at the doctor's surgery right opposite. They have like peacocks and everything. I hope my internet's going to hold as well. The internet doesn't always hold very well in the graveyard. But as you can see, if you didn't know, the graveyard is massive. It goes right the way. All the way. It is ginormous. It is no wonder that the ducks, the squirrels, which we haven't caught a squirrel yet, but the flopsies and the ducks all hang around here. For obvious reasons. Because it is just that serene. Like I said the other night, these were the graves that we walked round. These were the cremation ones, and then obviously you've got gravestones dating back to 1800s. I think the earliest one I've found is 1700 at one point, but they do go quite a way back in years. Some of these people don't even have relatives alive anymore, you know. Some of the graves do date back to 1800. And the bunnies just run wild. I don't know if you could see, but you could just see bunnies down the bottom there. And there are just bunnies everywhere. You'll have to yell if you see bunnies, because it's hard to keep an eye on them. because they're just erratic. See, look, there's a bunny over there running behind there. You might see it in a sec. See, in between the graves, right over there. It's really hard to there's a bunny down there. There's so many of them. You literally could spend your day just sitting and videoing. Look, Flopsy over there, Flopsy over the back there. It's literally full of them. And when I mean full of bunnies, I mean full of bunnies. That you literally just walk along and they just jump out of everywhere. Literally, they're just everywhere. See, look. Bunny right there. Right on the grave. So, you can go right down to the bottom. Obviously, there are... See the bunnies over there? Multiple bunnies, look. Just running around everywhere. I don't even know what that noise is. So you get all your bunnies. There's even a cat, look. See the black cat? There's a kitty cat there. In the hedge. See the kitty cat? Hey kitty. Oh, don't run away. So there are bunnies literally everywhere. I don't know what that noise is. I think it's, see look. Little Flopsies. There's so many in this graveyard. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to get, look. Over there, behind that grave, there's just tons of them. As soon as you walk around and make a noise, they just scatter. And the best thing is, it's the perfect time to film because no one is around apart from that honking whatever it is. I think it's a peacock. Yeah. So you go round, and obviously there are graves literally dating back to, I think it's 1700s that I found. And obviously the problem is that because these were made back in the day, the ground is wetter now and more moist, and obviously it sinks, and then they start to lean, which is a sad occasion. One gravestone leaning on another, not very good. To go this way, and then the trees in the middle are a hive for squirrels. I tell you, nigh on, I don't know how many squirrels we filmed here. Obviously walking, that's got to be that peacock. It's a very noisy peacock at the best of times. Obviously over time they changed how they did the gravestones, and they made them out of lighter material. They don't make them out of such heavy stone now. If you watch the cemetery video we did from the other place, they've lightened the stuff they use. They now don't use great big chunks of stone anymore. They use a more lightweight material. It's not really stone anymore. It's more like a marble. And it's more like a marble, kind of like this. And it's usually black. And it's less weatherproof. So it's more hardy to rain and the climate and everything. And it should cause less subsidence, and it shouldn't tilt or sink, supposedly. They were the gravestones we saw at the cemetery that time we went. And we looked at the different gravestones, and people also asked about the one with the cage on that's here. Because there's a grave with a cage on it, and that was to stop grave robbers. Back in the day, or some people believed that maybe the zombie apocalypse would happen and their loved ones would come back to life, so they'd put a cage over it to stop them escaping. but mainly the cages were put on there to stop grave robbers. And the bells do chime at, what is the time? 1:15? By heck, I forget how big the graveyard is there. It is massive. We're going to walk over to the other side now that I didn't show you the other night because it was too dark. So I thought I would show you the church in the daylight. It doesn't look as impressive, I must admit. The church is more impressive in the nighttime when it's all lit up. One of these days, you never know, I might catch them bell ringing. There's some more baby ducks over here as well. I'm going to show you this side. It's a bit darker over here, but I want to show you the other side of the church as well, because the graveyard is both sides. So we're going to walk this way, and here we go. Look, Mama duck. There we go. So there's Mama Duck again. I don't know if it's the same one. There's quite a few of them around here this evening. And there were quite a few the other night as well. But that's that side of the graveyard. And then you've got this side, which is the smaller side. And it's actually the older side out of the two. Same thing again. Obviously. Oh, bunny again. Is it? And the bunny. See, we caught quite a lot of bunnies the other night when it was dark, because the best time to come out is dusk. It's a little early today, but then I've got work tomorrow. Can't be running around a graveyard like we did the other night at 11 just to get bunnies in the night. Mama got to sleep. But you get all these little tiny holes and they pop out all over. You see a little bunny down there? Another little tiny one. And they're literally just everywhere. Literally just everywhere. And then you get the baby ducks as well. So two for the price of one. You get ducks and you get the little bunnies as well. Obviously, tiny little holes like that. You got to have your wits about you here as well, because you get the tiny little holes. They're only minuscule little holes, but they're dotted all over. And they literally just dive in like dolphins. But you get them all in the little hedgerow here, where all the stinger nettles are. And they're just tons of them, just everywhere. Everywhere you walk. And then obviously you've got some of the graves which unfortunately have gone by the wayside, and they are cracked, they have fallen. Some of them are even in the hedgerows now. I mean, it's kind of disrespectful. You'd think it would all be cut. You've got all of this where these graves are probably dating back probably around 1800s. And obviously they don't have any living relatives anymore. No one comes to visit, and just kind of disappears into obscurity of importance. So you get all your graves just start leaning, breaking, weathering. The green is due to acid rain, and obviously weathering away the stone, which isn't good. You know, wear and tear. But like I said, the cemetery, the other place, they've started using the lighter marble to do graves with. because they're more weather resistant. They don't sink as much. They don't have as much subsidence due to how heavy they are. They're not hollow, but then they're lighter, basically. They are massively lighter. As you go round, if you could share this in the Discord, Colin, that would be amazing. And put hashtag everyone, or at everyone. And then obviously over here you have the commune of ducks. Yes, the commune of ducks. Yeah, all your little duckies hang out and walk this way. So you do get bunnies just quite happily, just coinciding with the ducks. It's basically become the norm for ducks to hang around with the bunnies. They just look. They just walk around, just aimlessly, just sit there right next to a duck. Like that. They were the gates from the other night. Remember the big gates? The big nice gates. I'm gonna walk through here. But there's your little ducks. In the evening you get like insects and all that come up to the surface more than you do during the day, because they come up when it's cooler. I'm hoping you might see the bunnies as we go past. Done. Thank you, Colin. And then you get mama duck, the occasional random pigeon or flyover. Get head chopped off by a random animal. That's all right, mama duck. You're perfectly fine, mama duck. I wouldn't touch your baby. You are perfectly safe, my precious. Very territorial. And so they should be. Because rabbits have no problems taking a nibble on a duck. Or vice versa. The ducks are quite vicious too. If the rabbits get too near their babies, they will give them a peck. They're not shy for going at each other. Just because it's a duck or a rabbit doesn't mean they sit there and very nicely like hang around together. It doesn't mean that's like a bond. You go now, either of the babies, they show their true colours. Like with any animal. But so you got really impressive ones like this that have like the gatedness around them, or you get really impressive ones, which is like the one over here, which is the tomb one. So you get ones like this, which is the tomb, and basically if you take the top off of that, they're not actually buried in the ground. The actual coffin is actually in this bit. They're buried, they wanted to be buried, but they wanted to be buried above ground. So the coffin's actually in that middle part. That's where someone wants to be buried, but they don't like the idea of being buried underground. So they're then buried in a tomb, but it's above ground. Kind of like a sarcophagus, or being buried more in a like a sanctum kind of thing. This one's even got like a pointy fence around it. Why? I mean, it's totally accessible, but it's been like that for ages. So no squirrels this evening. Very quiet on the squirrel front, which is strange because we usually get tons of squirrels. But here's the church again. Are you impressed by that? Because you should be. Should be massively impressed. If you're not, I'd be very surprised. Can you share me out, Josh? Can you put me in the Facebook group? Thank you. Most probably one has railings at one point and it rusted away over time. That's possible. It's possible. Thank you, Josh. Kudos. We're walking around the graveyard. We've seen bunnies. We've had a discussion. We've seen baby ducklings. We've seen a lot of rabbits. Anna will be in Flopsy heaven because there is just so many bunnies. Look. Yeah, look. See that? Little bunnies. A lot of Flopsies. Just hanging around. Tons of little Flopsies. And we've seen tons of baby rabbits. Seen baby ducklings as well. Look. See that? Flopsies. Everywhere. Just tons of little wiggly butts, as Anna would say. Tons of them. This is the same church we did the other night, but it's during the day. I wanted to do both of them. I showed you the church the other night at what, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and we filmed it at night, and then we needed to film it during the day because you couldn't quite see the rabbits because I forgot to bring my torch with me. But now you can see the bunnies, and they are everywhere. Literally, we've been walking for like half an hour, and we've seen, oh God, I don't know how many. Play spot the bunny. Go back to the start of this stream until we get to the graveyard, and then tell me how many rabbits we've seen, because it's been a lot. But I thought I would live stream, because I haven't live streamed really for a bit. I've been kind of off streaming. Is that a bad thing? Probably not. Yeah, I was gonna do one the other night and celebrate 3K, which I got 3K following now. Kudos to me. But I didn't feel up to it, and if I'm gonna do like a celebration, I kind of wanna you know, feel in the mood, and I didn't feel like celebrating. I don't know why, but here are the cremation ones. If you want to be cremated, this is where you end up, possibly forgotten depending on how long. Some of these are from the 1800s, some are 1900s. The more present day ones are over that side. And then, like I said, most of these graves now, a lot of people don't get buried here. They get buried at the cemetery down the other end. They don't tend to be buried here anymore. The cemetery gets a lot more use. Now, the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard, like I told you the other night, is a graveyard has a church and a cemetery does not. And the cemetery we have filmed before. We haven't been there for a while. The last time we went to that cemetery and filmed, my friend had passed away, and I went down there and we did a live stream and we contemplated and we had a bit of a reminisce, should we say, more than anything. It was more like a reminiscing stream. But this, I'm going to show you my favourite spot in the graveyard. Now, I come here quite a lot. When I've had a bad day, when I need to think, when things aren't going quite my way, this is where I like to come. Right under the big tree. This is my contemplating spot. Sometimes you get some squirrels in here in the dusk. We do get the bells as well. Hey, Tammy. Hello, Nan and Grandad. Hey Colin. Yeah, the other night I filmed, but you couldn't see everything because it was too dark, and I didn't bring a I didn't bring a torch with me, so we obviously didn't film everything. But this is my favourite spot, right under the big tree. And sometimes you get the odd squirrel, the odd bird, you get the odd stick fall on your head because of the birds. It's also quite humid under here as well, you wouldn't believe it. But when it rains, it's really nice because it's so sheltered. You barely get wet at all. So I did the live stream the other night from here, and I didn't have a torch, but it was kind of cool because you got to hear the bells, you got to see the church lit up. You got to see quite a different view of a graveyard at night, because compared to the daylight, I mean, people walk through graveyards all the time, day in, day out. But when you talk about going to a church or a graveyard at night, people are like, ooh, that's eerie. What's eerie about a graveyard at night? What's wrong with going to a graveyard? I think the only real thing that this place is missing is benches. I think if you're coming to see a loved one, I like to sit in a graveyard and contemplate. The cemetery has benches. This does not. And I think a couple of benches just dotted around where you can sit and contemplate and think about your loved ones would be kind of nice. The cemetery had a few benches put in a while ago, but this place doesn't have any. So mainly, looks very, very old. Yeah, mainly because quite a lot of these graves here, all the way back down to there, they literally go back to 1700s. You got 17, 18, 1900s. And then the newer graves, like to the present day, are in the cemetery, which is another entire building elsewhere, which we have filmed at before. But I don't tend to film like names of people. But you get right at the back, which is 1700. You get 1800s. You get 1900s. And then it goes right the way down. And it is humongous. Let me just sort my hat out a bit. It is humongous. But there is a cemetery. And we filmed there before. But the last time we filmed there, my friend had passed away. And we haven't been back since. He isn't buried at that church, but I needed somewhere to go that day. I felt lost. I felt, emotional. So I took a walk, ended at that cemetery, sat on a bench. We did a live stream. We did some contemplating, and it was a good stream. And then this one goes right the way down there, and you get really impressive stones. And the place is open all night long. It doesn't close. The entire graveyard is open all the time. There are multiple exits and entrances to different points. The church is still in use. They still do flower festivals, funerals, weddings, christenings, carol service. They do Christmas. They did the Christmas tree festival, where you got to see all trees that were donated and raising money for charity. They do flower festivals. They use the church for quite a lot, amazingly. It's more of the more widely used churches that I've lived near. Some churches, I mean, I'm not religious myself, but some churches don't get used to, like, I wouldn't want to say their full capacity, but a church can bring a community together, and it can thrive with the church as a basis for, like, the town. Weddings and funerals and all that can bring people together, but so can a church fete. So can raising money for the diocese, and a lot of people still don't have faith in the church, a bit like me. and that's perfectly fine. Everyone's allowed an opinion. But I did spend 15 years of my life going to church as a child, having to do Bible studies, having to go to Sunday school. So I've done the 15-year church obligatory, being forced by my parents, year in, year out, even against my will to go on a Sunday. And then once, I don't know if we can actually see in the church. Let me see if I can get the camera to look. I don't know if you can see in very well. I don't know if you can see in there, but it is quite impressive. The most impressive thing is the one at the end. I don't know if we can see around the other side, but it is massive. I mean, you can't even see the top of it from here. They have bell ringers as well. Sometimes in the evenings you get the bell ringers as well. I never see a date for the church. Most churches had the date built into the actual frame at the top, but this one doesn't, unfortunately. Look, just a bunny just chilling out. You get these tiny little doors as well. Now, someone asked me about the tiny little doors. Now, these tiny little doors, some of these go into the basement of the church. And I have been in basements of churches before, and they are creepy. Not this church, but I have been in a previous church's basement where you take the tiny door and it takes you to the basement, and it's creepy. Proper creepy ass thing. I mean, you've got a door that used to be here that's now covered up. I'll have to find out how old the church. I think the church is 1700s. Some of the graves I have found have gone back to 1750, 1730. I can only assume the church was built around about the same time. I don't know for definite what came first, the church or the graves. Then you get big ones like this. Look how cool this is. Look, see that? Look. This tombstone has actually moved, and you can see in there. Look. And under that soil, under there, would be his grave. How cool is that? Because what happens as the ground moves, the building dates back from 1454. Ooh. Oh, it's older than I thought then. But largely the limestone it features. Yeah, okay, 1400s. Wow. The graves I found date back to 1700. So whether they started burying people here in the 1400s, I don't know. But I found graves as old as like 1730, 1750. So even going back to the 1700s, that's still an old building. Even, you know, I mean, look, how many churches have this? But you have to protect your church so well from the public that the actual windows themselves are covered in wire. And do you know why that is? Because people break into the churches. I believe this is the door where the choir go in. During a wedding, the choir are never seen until they're in the church. And I believe that this, back in the day, was the choir door. So the choir would come in here. They'd get changed in the choir changing area, which is called the vestibule, which is where the vicar and that gets changed into his robes. And then from the vestibule, the choir would go into the pews, the priest would come out, and then ceremony would start. I know, I've been in this church game for a while. But look how everything is covered in this really horrible grainy mesh. fence. And that is because stained glass is highly expensive. You break one of those windows, you're looking at 20k to fix it. Minimum 20k. They're all covered. Each and every one of them, near enough, are covered. These ones aren't. But as you can see, most of them, again, they're covered. Hey, Holly. They're covered. You see that one's got a tiny hole in it? What happens is you get birds and stuff like that and everything. Again, tiny door leads into the vestibule. This one leads out because the choir's this end. You get the choir this end, and then you get the changing bit up here, which is behind. So the reason for the grates is because the glass is expensive, massively expensive. We're talking stained glass, not necessarily these, but the stained glass ones. They're about 20k to fix. And also the really ornateness of a church, the height and everything, is to stop people stealing leads off the roof. So you got another one here, look, tiny door. You got a little grate down there. The roofs of churches would generally, see, look, weird little doors, look, with locks. It's kind of cool, look. Don't you see that? Look. How cool is that? Ooh. Looks like the electrical for the church, but all the stained glass is covered. But back in the day, the roofs up there, they were originally all made of lead. Now lead is a very pricey commodity back in the day, and people to this day still will steal the lead off a church roof. There's a church near me back in the day, and they literally took the entire lead roof off the church. And when they were going to refix it, they wanted £100,000 to fix the roof again. Also, the grates on the windows are to stop people breaking in, because when people break in, they steal the silver, like the communion cups, the candlesticks. They're all made out of silver, generally. I don't know if they're made out of pure silver anymore, but they used to be made of pure silver, and people would steal them and then they would sell them. And you get really proper, you know, thick old doors and everything. But they used to be, the stuff within the church was made out of silver, so the candlesticks, even the Bibles themselves are worth money. Some Bibles in churches date back, you know, 13, 14, 1500s. And some of them are like first editions. They're like leather bound, they're expensive. So a church, effectively, although it is a great big monumental building, the stuff inside it is actually more valuable than the church itself. The Bibles, the communion cup, the candlesticks, the donation money. People donate to the churches. Yes, it isn't kept in the building. When you donate into the plates and all that, the money is counted up and then it is taken off site. But a church does have wealth. That's why the church is one of the richest things in the country, aside from the monarchy. And they have a lot to say in a lot of things. You may not think it, but the church has a hell of a lot of power. Especially people like the Catholic Church, Christianity, Protestants, the smaller ones, you know, Muslims, Jews, and all of that, all have their own faiths. But the most powerful ones, mainly, is Catholicism and Christianity. They're the two biggest widely... And there's the church again. Two biggest widely used bells put me off. What was it? Catholicism and Protestants were the most widely celebrated around here anyway. And then, hello baby duck, see look, little baby ducks everywhere. Hello mama duck. A rabbit just kindly just jumping through my screen. If you want to give it a big thumbs up and you want to donate, that would be amazing. Donate to my leg fund, because my legs ache. This is the kind of stuff you love, old builders and churches. Oh well, thank you, Holly. If you want to donate and support the channel, maybe become a member in any way, that would be great. Hopefully I can show you more churches over time, and a more wider band of churches, like different ones in different places. Hopefully, you know, at different points. Obviously right now, but yeah, what do you think, guys? We are down to 31% battery, so we are gonna hopefully not get demonetized. So we're gonna walk. So that is the churchyard. I hope that it's definitely beautiful in the daylight. Yeah, I mean, look at the trees just wrapping around each other. I mean, look at all this. Look at this beauty, untapped beauty. Look, it's I like all of that as well. Yeah, it's really peaceful as well. It is right by a roadside. You can't have everything, can you? Can't have everything, but it is stunning for a church, I must admit. It is what I call a church. And it is along a main road. Technically it's along the main road in and out of Swaffham. So, you know, it doesn't get awfully busy. A lot of people use it for the connecting from getting from there to the other side. But you do get, you know, bell ringers and weddings on occasion. It's not as widely used anymore. Because obviously nowadays, people prefer to be cremated or have an eco burial, or what was it? Someone, was it Terry the other night said he wanted to be buried at sea? I think it was Terry that said he wanted to be buried at sea, and then my son agreed with him. If you want to be buried at sea, I've got no problem with that. Be buried where you like. But what were you saying? Without getting into detail, I mix with my Christianity. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I am not religious myself, obviously, but I can appreciate a church. There is a Jewish site as well, which I'll take you to another time. That's another one that we can go to. There is a Jewish one as well, which at some point we could go to, and you could see. But as you can see, that the town is quite dead. You can literally just aimlessly walk around, literally on the road. I don't know how it is over there in your land, but it's quite quiet here in the evenings. It doesn't really get very busy very often. But we're going to walk this way. I actually kind of live the other way, but I thought I would walk this way for a change until my battery dies at least. But we'll see. If you want to thumbs it up, that'd be great. I'm going to show what's your heritage? Hang on, what did you say? What did I miss? My heritage is Cherokee, so you can guess they have some pagan mixed in with them. Yeah, obviously got pagan. We do have a Baptist church as well. There is a Baptist one. So you've got the Christian one, there's a Baptist one, there's also a Methodist, there's a Catholic church. We've got quite a few. For a small town, we do effectively counter for quite a lot of the religions, amazingly, which is surprising because it is quite a small town. You wouldn't necessarily think that you'd have that much need to have that many in retrospect. If Colin is still here, Colin used to work here, which is Asda. Swifts are out singing. Yes, they are. Swifties are out. This Ushu used to be Netto's. This is where Colin used to work back in the day. Isn't it, Colin? Colin used to work here. Back before it became Asda, it was Netto's. Back in the day. Which is kind of cool. So yeah, this was Netto's. It's now Asda. Colin used to work here back when it was a Netto's, which is kind of cool if you remember it being a Netto's. There was also a Rainbow in town back in the day as well. Rainbow was also a thing. They're quite cool. We didn't park it on the street. So yeah, Asda. It's a very unlikable building, isn't it? Let's be honest. 9 o'clock, huh? Yeah, a Summerfield. Ooh. Well, it used to be a Netto's as well. And a Summerfield. So that's pretty cool. So there's Asda for you in all its glory. So we've got that. So there you go. So there's Asda for you. A Cobbler's used to be in town. There's a Cobbler's right over there. Right there. Over there. Cobbler's right there. So, hope you're enjoying this. Like and subscribe as well. What was the name of the town if you don't want to say? Swaffham. I live in Swaffham. I live in Swaffham, Norfolk. It's not the first time I've mentioned where I live. A lot of people know where I live. So, yeah, it's a quaint little place. Oh,